Hi, everybody. It's Mike Andrew. I'd like to walk you through a process that has always worked for me in having substantive business focused discussions with senior executives where they're engaged. They enjoy having these conversations. And it's a process I use when I had my global consulting practice. And it's also a process I use when I had executive roles in these large companies, especially when we were trying to develop relevant, and I mean relevant, leadership development initiatives for the company, relevant to the context of the pressing business challenges, relevant to the context of the strategic direction, and so forth. And I'll give you an example at the end how this played out. But when I would have these discussions, and I would encourage you too, coming from a leadership development, talent development perspective, never once did I get involved in discussions around training or HR, nothing. And I found executives love having these discussions because the more they discuss, the more they think through, the better they are able to articulate about the business, and they become more comfortable articulating with substance in depth about their business. So I would talk to executives in three levels. First level, the macro, high level. Tell me more about the industry, the competitive threats, the technological breakthroughs, the trends, everything external with the company and the industry, what's happening. And they have viewpoints on that. I would bring it down to the next level. In the context of what you just gave me with the external environment, how does that translate to your company's strategic direction, the goals, the key strategic priorities or strategic initiatives? And then we would have substantive discussions around that, and they're articulating that. Thirdly, and this is where the rubber meets the road, how does this translate to those two or three or four core company-wide capabilities that you have to excel at in order to realize your strategy, achieve your goals, and gain that competitive advantage? And we would work through those two or three or four organization-wide capabilities. That's the relevance, and that's where we build leadership development initiatives around, so it's relevant to the context of the company. I had a situation once where there was a consulting firm, well-known, out of New York, and they got thrown out of this company. It's a very well-known company, Fortune 100. They were about 125 years old, private. And they said, Mike, we just got thrown out of the company because they were probably talking HR language or training language, whatever. And they said, we'd like to get back. Do you have any suggestions? I said, yeah, this is what I would do. I would walk through this process of questioning and get them talking about the business. Don't get them talking about training. So they brought me back in, and I met with the chairman, the CEO, CFO, all the top teams. And this is a company where after 125 years, their growth had plateaued, and they were looking for new growth platforms. And so the new leadership development was for the top 75 executives to focus on new growth platforms beyond what they were recognized for. So we went in there with the chairman, family-owned business, CEO, top executives, one by one, and walked through this model, the three levels. They loved it. They loved it. And that consulting firm was brought back in, and the consulting firm, in the end, rewarded me for that. But it's having those substantive business-focused discussions away from HR, away from training. That's something you can go back and discuss later, as long as you know the big context, big picture, the macro external view of the business, the internal strategic direction, and how that translates to the core company-wide capabilities that they must excel at in order to achieve and be who they want to be. So I wanted to share that perspective with you and that story with you. Thank you very much for listening. See you next time.